Hello YouTube, this is an alcohol review of Jefferson's Tropics. There we are. According to the label, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 52% alcohol by volume, 104 proof, 750ml bottle, aged in humidity. May sound strange, but is important. Alright. Where is it? We're going to make sure you got the right place. Singapore. There we go. So, Jefferson's whiskey. They're much more affordable line. Very tasty. My personal favorite is called Jefferson's Oceans. Now, didn't know anything about Jefferson's Oceans until I stumbled across, I should say, my wife stumbled across an article in Scientific America about Jefferson's Ocean. And it's a project they were doing in which they took their standard Jefferson's Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey and put it into the casks for aging, but instead of putting it into a warehouse like everyone else does, they shipped it. Schooner, some sort of sailing vessel. And want to know if the waves and the constant up and the churning and the temperature fluctuations of daytime and nighttime on the ocean, storms, good days, all of that, did that make a difference? Because if it did, then the whiskey we are drinking now has a different flavor profile than whiskeys of today, where we take it from the distillery, move it across the street or wherever it is, short distance usually, put it into the warehouse and let it sit there at a nice chilled 65 degrees all the way through for the next 4 or 5 years, maybe 6, and let it run from there. Where Jefferson's Oceans, they wanted to see if the out and about, would do a difference. So to continue this little experiment, they took it and shipped it all the way to Singapore. Getting old sucks. Sent it to Singapore. And for the next, I believe it was 18 months, of course it won't say right here, but I believe it's 18 months. In Singapore, aged by Tropics, of course. They put it in an open air warehouse in Singapore to see if the humidity and the temperature fluctuations on the barrels made a difference to the bourbon. And thus we get Tropics. So, not cheap. I try to keep the mass bulk of my whiskeys under $40, if ever possible. Not under $40. As a matter of fact, the reason why I have my hands on it in the first place is due to the fact that my lovely wife thought it would be nice to give this to me for my birthday. So, thank you to her. And you'll see this is a mixed bag. As a matter of fact, it's such a mixed bag that I talked to Burks and Jess of the Burks and Jess channel on Twitch about my issues with Oceans, and they felt that instead of I was just going to bypass it up, I got another, I believe it's another rum, waiting in the wings, waiting to come through. So I was going to bypass this guy, go to that one, and then went, no, be polite, be nice, run through, do your thing, and I won't say let this be a warning, but foreshadowing. I might treat myself out there. All right, more presentable. So foreshadowing aside, there we go. It is a crushed cork. Nice lid, obviously customed with the red versus say black as normal. And hopefully we won't keep going in and out like it's doing. Boom, there we are. In case you're wondering, that logo is from Wood Hat, a wonderful little bitty distillery lost in Missouri, I believe. A lot of corn. And that makes them more bourbon. Yes, bourbons. Lots of corn. If you get a chance to go there, there's so much corn that they use in their different products. It's amazing to taste side by side the difference between red corn versus yellow corn versus, and like a slew of different. It's worth a stop. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Jefferson's Tropic, aged in humidity. There we go. It is a dark caramel. Which one would perceive that to be? Because usually, well, they claim the color that you get in your whiskeys is from the charcoal of the inside of the white oak barrels that they are aged in. As a matter of fact, this is such a big deal that there are different patterns in which the charring is done in the barrel to increase or decrease the type of flavor it will add to the spirit. So they say 18 months in humidity, wood expands out, bring it back home, it's going to contract out. So I can see why it is a darker. There's nothing on the back. There's no flavor profile. Alrighty. To the nose. It is fruity. It is caramelly. It is burnt. Not too bad. Not too bad. As a matter of fact, this whole thing is just swinging all over the place. But yeah, there is no real burn to it. There is no real bite to it. Swirl, 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 swirl. But there is enough. Get you right in the back of the throat. And there is enough. Yep. Thought it was going to disappoint me. Thought it was. Though not as bad. The nose is nice. The nose will give you a rich, really rich odors. We're talking instead of like caramel, it's like almost a charred caramel. Instead of oak, it's a burnt oak. Take all your flavors that you normally get in a nice bourbon and bump it up to 11. And those of you who are old enough, you'll understand that statement, to go to 11. This goes to 11 on that. The nose is polite enough to stop off at, say, 9 or 10. In some areas, may go into 11. When I first opened the bottle, it went straight to 10.5. If you want to be anal about it. And then let it sit. Tried it again, and then that stayed a little bit lower. The reason for the sitting, the reason for to let it breathe, is to let all the harsh alcohol that is right on the surface of the solution to burn off fairly quick and thus not be a problem. This stuff holds on to it quite strongly. So, orange, but it's burnt orange. Is it take all these great flavors that you love, crank it to 11, and this is what you got. So it's not it's not bad by far. It is really, really good. But you got to keep it in mind. So example would be you're playing a pickup game of street football, and you get somebody's kid from college comes in. He's a quarterback on his team, and you got him queuing up for your team. He throws the ball at you, and it's flying so fast you can hear it zinging through the air. You know it's going to split your chest in half, but it's just him. It's what he does. This is Crank 211. It is what it does. It is what it is. It is 11. I'm not a fan of it. I know this is contradictory to what I've said in the past. I like my Merlots. I like my stouts. I like good, strong, deep flavors. That stop at 10. This puppy goes to 11 and stays there proudly. And there's nothing wrong with that, to be honest. Its brother, cousin, I don't know what you want to call it, Atlantic, stays just right. Hangs in the 9s, hangs in the 10s when it needs to, drops in the 7 when it wants to. This guy stays at 11 and does not move. If you like the strong flavors, really strong flavors, this is the way to go. It is layered. It is the nose complements the whole thing. It's everything you were looking for, but kicked up. And that's where you have to watch it. Should you get it? I suggest yes, because it is not what I was expecting. I am a fan of the Jefferson product line, the few that I've had, and this guy is the first one where I just take a step back and go, whoa, hey, because it is where it is. But definitely, if you can, just out of the sheer curiosity of it, try it. That's why Oceans is, in my opinion, so great. This was a thought experiment. Somebody was able to get somebody else to try it. They throw it on a boat. Let's see what happens. And it comes out fantastic. They took this, ran it through the same boat, plopped it in Singapore, let it sit, dragged it back to the States. You pay for it. But with that aside, knowing the experimental mind, historical thought brought together, and then the cooperation to get it done, right there makes it worth giving it a try. Especially if you're a history nut. Especially if you're a science nut. Mainly if you're a history nut. Because instead of Singapore, they could have put this into, say, Florida or anywhere else in the deep south, and it's going to have similar humidity. Maybe not as strong as Singapore's, but it turns out does affect the flavor. And this is a great way to find out how, who, what, when, where, so forth. So yes, definitely try it. Just be warned. It's above. It's well above, proud of it, and it sits there in total grandiose, and it will smack you on the nose and not stop. But that's just my humble opinion of the point that Burks and Jess made to me was the fact that I was foolishly riding on the line that it's a Jefferson product. I like their other things. I'm sure I'm going to fall in love with this one too. It's going to take place of my Jefferson Ocean, and this is great. I love change to a point. And so when I tried it, I went, oh my, oh no, oh no. It was a foolish move on my part, because I'm taking the product line and thinking, if this is good and this is good, that means this must be good, and that's not always the case. Jefferson Tropic follows in that line, follows in the family, but it doesn't mean it's going to be as good as its earlier predecessors. And that was my failure into that. Also falling into the dollar amount. This stuff ain't cheap. So there was a lot of apologizing to the missus, saying, I'm sorry, I wish I loved it. And they said she tried it and she had the same visceral to her as well. And she was stunned because with its Jefferson's Atlantic is costly enough. Tropics is a few more bucks on top. And we were hoping that would reflect into, and that was our mistake. High dollar does not mean high quality or high flavor or whatever you may think. A good bourbon is a good bourbon no matter what the price tag reads. And I fell into the trope of, well, if it costs that much, it must be. Oh, it follows in that family line, that family tree of other great products this company produces. It must be. Failed twice. What you gonna do? Oh, and third is let it breathe, or add some ice to it. We let it breathe for like over 20 minutes, and it seemed to get angry with us, and then slapped us around even worse. So, letting it breathe does not necessarily help, especially with this stuff. Ice was able to tame it down to a point. It fell off of 11 and dropped into 10, and then growled and grustled in my glass trying to get back to 11 again. So that, cocktail, too expensive for a cocktail. Drink it neat. Just do it. And that's as far as I can give you. So let me know what you guys think. Maybe a controversy. Is price a representative of? Is heritage? Is product line a sign of, And let me know what you guys think about that. This is Jefferson's Tropics, aged in humidity. Definitely, just for the sheer historical, the sheer scientific part that went into this whole thing, it's worth trying just for that alone. But the rest, let me know what you think. Comments down below, we're accepted as always. Or better yet, go out, buy it, and try it. And let me know, please let me know what your thoughts are on this. I said, I'm just some guy in the middle of nowhere whose wonderful wife got him a nice birthday present, and these are my thoughts. So until next time, keep on drinking.